Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan Tim.
Traffic these days in the Twin Cities can suck my fucking ass.
It's bad. I'm usually stuck to the one county, but I know how bad it is out there.
Yeah, so let me just put that. I heard a commercial the other day where I don't even remember the product, and I've heard this multiple times now, this commercial. Traffic in the Twin Cities metro area has quadrupled since 1982. Does that sound like a believable figure to you?
That sounds like stuff that I've been hearing from my sources, because it's right up my alley.
Well, with suburban expansion.
Suburban expansion, overpopulation, more people driving vehicles on the road. And it's also the cause of crashes and stuff is distracted driving. But that can cause traffic problems because every time somebody crashes, everybody's got a rubberneck and stare at a fender bender. That's really not exciting.
So that's not one of the issues I want to bitch about when it comes to traffic.
I figured that, but I just wanted to say
so that. Rick James even has said, since he works out on the road, he's like, every day I'm out there on the road and I see all these cars and I think, why the fuck aren't these people at work? Where are you going at 10:30 on a goddamn Tuesday? And I said,
had a coworker tell you that.
Keep in mind, Ricky, a lot of these people probably drive for work.
Yeah.
Not just truckers. People that commute to and from different locations.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is because I have a new commute. And I spend a lot more time in the car. And my whole commute involves basically a 2-road stretch with an average speed limit of 60 miles an hour. And my average speed most nights coming home is 15 miles per hour.
Fuck! You must be coming up 35.
Yes. Yes, I am. And let me tell you that yesterday, I made it from work to where I had to go in like 20 minutes flat, which on the average night, if I had left 2 hours later, would have taken me 55 to 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm. When I worked out of Egan driving a semi, I had a 45-minute drive to work in the morning. So I left at like 6:15 in the morning. But I usually got off at like 3:34, 4:30.
Ick.
Anywhere in there. And so my drive home was like an hour and 15, hour and a half every night.
That's shoot me in the fucking face right now type of
I didn't
driving.
like it. And my car did not have air conditioning.
Diego! Sweaty. Thank you.
So the stop and go of my commute has been driving me fucking nuts. And I've started to pay attention to the trends. The fast lane, as some people call it, which is really known as the passing lane, the left lane, becomes the slowest. The middle lane fluctuates. I've had the most luck in the middle lane. The right lane is a goddamn mess.
That's because of all the cars coming on from the ramps.
And you just walked backwards right into my point. I had an idea that on-ramps should be going into the left lane. So if you're getting off of any major road onto 35W or 35E, it would be a hell of a lot more convenient if the on-ramp onto the interstate there went down into the left lane, not the right. Because who in their right fucking mind ever decided that it was a good idea for exiting and entering vehicles to occupy the same small fractional space in the right lane to try to do what they got to do? There's crisscrossing, there's near accidents, there's people that go, oh shit, I'm going to miss my ramp, and they try to...
The whole cloverleaf ramp design is terrible.
It's fucking ridiculous. It was put into practice in the 50s and 60s, and it does not work today for the sheer volume of drivers.
Yeah. It was a system designed for considerably less traffic. People were driving slower. Cars were slower. So, I mean, but even back then, like I said, not only was there less traffic, but there was way less traffic.
Yeah.
It was just mainly male drivers at that point in time.
There's a joke in there that I don't even need to make because it's subtly there right under what we're saying about female drivers. Seriously, though, I want you to picture a road system Specifically, think of the 694 35W interchange. Mm-hmm. It's a goddamn mess.
Yeah, because the cloverleaf ramps are just bullshit. They're horrible.
And that one specifically is way more frequent than any of the other roads between 280 and Highway 10 exits.
Yeah.
On 35W.
Those two actual intersecting interstates.
So if you had traffic coming down the on-ramp onto 35 from any of these roads, specifically 694 though, and they came into the left lane, as you have cars exiting off onto the right, they don't occupy the same space. So the traffic that is flowing beyond this point sticks to the middle lane, which would then become the fast lane. Mm-hmm. You would still use the left as the passing lane in between the interchanges. But because all the vehicles aren't solely doing what they need to do on the right, it wouldn't bog down traffic as much, theoretically, in my mind. What are your thoughts on that?
It would never happen. I think that the design could really work. Just because, like, I've been on the road doing traffic for 19 years now. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it would ever be implemented.
But I mean, in terms of the logistics of how you think it would function, do you agree that it would work to my supposition?
Yeah, I do. If anything, I mean, it's worth a try.
Because there's so many times when I have to travel for work during the day. And I've been on a shit ton of roads. And I have been all over the Twin Cities the last few months with this new gig. We won't get into specifics. But I got myself an early parole out of the jail.
Bye, Felicia.
So anyways, I drive a lot now. And I had never really driven to all these different parts of the Southwest Metro.
I hate the Southwest Metro.
I had never had to go to places like Robbinsdale or fucking St. Louis Park or Edina and all them.
Frequented them all the time.
And I do now. But also, you know, I use Highway 36 a lot.
36 is a good crossroad for the East Metro.
But it's a fucking nightmare come rush hour at night.
From 3 to about 5:30, it's a nightmare. Particularly, mainly between 35, 280, 35, all the way out to, I want to say, 35E. I don't think after that it's as bad.
No. And it just drives me nuts. Like, I spend so much time trying to pay attention to all the... I have to be on hyper alert for all these other cars and what they're doing, especially at the interchanges. Because it's not just people that are entering onto 35. It's people that are entering onto 35, and for some fucking reason, within a football field's length of road, they feel the need to try to get over 2 lanes into the fast lane. Yeah. And it's just all this chaos of people that are just getting pissed off. Like, you're cutting me off. You're trying to force your way in. Fuck you, I'm not going to let you in. And then you get people that have to get off of 35 or other similar roads, and someone doesn't want to let them in. Well, all they're going to do is slow down and fuck up the traffic behind you. So it's this selfish, I'm the only driver on the road that matters mentality, which has led to the chaos that is the Twin Cities commutes, which I think were rated the 3rd worst traffic in the nation. Right, the worst cities for traffic based on annual hours spent in congestion per commuter in 2017 are from 1 to 5, Atlanta, San Francisco, LA, New York, Miami. I don't buy that shit. With the 494 and 394 and 94, and why is there not a 194 and a 294? That's a whole different issue. Those fucking roads, man. 394 going in and out of Minneapolis.
That's funny.
It's fucking terrible. But seriously, what happened to 294? Why did that happen?
It got 8.
Why isn't that a thing? And never mind that this weekend is Rondo Days in St. Paul. You know what Rondo Days is?
Nope.
It's a festival weekend in July every year where the black community celebrates the neighborhood that used to be united, an all-black neighborhood mainly, was then splintered by the development of 94.
Oh, yeah, I've heard little snippets here and there about how that ruined the neighborhood. I think the light rail ruined it, but that's just me.
I don't have an opinion. I just found that interesting because I learned that today.
That's the best place to put a highway.
So I don't even care that these facts, air quotes, facts on CNBC, don't match what I'm claiming about Twin Cities traffic. It's true. I have never driven in rush hour in these cities, but everybody knows Los Angeles is fucking terrible.
In Los Angeles.
What's it like?
It was bad, but honestly, I mean, this was, again, 13 years ago. I don't think it was any worse than here. But I was just going, I can't even remember the name of the highway. I drove from Las Vegas to Santa Monica. We were going to the Santa Monica Pier. So whatever road is pretty much a straight shot there, that's the road I was on. And when we got into Los Angeles, I think I was backed up for about a half hour, but I'm not even sure how far I drove. I just thought it was weird because all the highway signs had razor wire around them.
What the fuck? Were they getting stolen that much?
No, they were getting graffitied, so they put razor wire. All the big green overhead ones on bridges and on freestanding frames, razor wire. I mean, they talk about how beautiful the city is and how wonderful it is there, and you go there and it looks like a fucking prison.
It is, in fact, a concrete jungle.
Santa Monica was nice, though.
Yeah.
No parking. Not even at a fucking drugstore. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't a Walgreens.
That's fine. In a few years, the big one's going to hit. That whole state almost is going to break off into the ocean, and most of those people are going to die.
No, didn't
so
you
we
hear?
won't have to deal with them or any of their electoral college hullabaloo.
Didn't you hear?
What?
They got enough signatures in California. I don't know which group started it, but
To
they want to
split
break
into three
California
states,
into
yeah.
3 states.
Yeah, that doesn't matter because you could break it into like 20 states. But guess what? If the big one hits and like the equivalent of what is California now all falls into the ocean,
I'm not gonna say. Well, it's not all gonna fall in the ocean.
it's all going to fall in the ocean. This is science because I said so. A lot of people are going to die if it happens in the worst case scenario they're predicting.
Population control at its finest.
But traffic is going to be fucking sweet the day after, I tell you that.
Yeah.
There's not going to be as many people in line to go to their office because the road's not going to exist. Everyone can just stay home. Whee!
The buildings won't exist. You lost your job. It sank into the ocean.
So back to my ranting about this. Just like I was talking episodes ago about the blinking yellow turn light.
Yep.
And my theory of the go at your own risk rule.
Yep.
Where if you're at a red turn arrow for left and there's no traffic, you should be able to just fucking go.
On a motorcycle, you can if the loop's not picking you up after 3 signal cycles, which can take up to 15 minutes.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so if it misses me, as soon as it's clear, I go.
So just like that, because it would help people get home faster, I think if we
starting to
had
put a lot more of those yellow arrows in everywhere.
if we had the goddamn left lane on ramps,
I do think it would work for everyone entering the highway on the left side, people exiting on the right side. I can't say for certain, but I do believe some highway systems, like in Los Angeles in particular, they do have left exiting and entering and right exiting and entering.
that's the problem.
Stuff.
Is when they're on the same fucking side.
Well, they're on both sides of the freeway.
Yeah.
But it's like you can go exit left to go on 404 or some shit. Exit right to get off on Los Angeles Boulevard. It's kind of like that.
They're doubling down on the chicanery.
Yeah, and they're highway lanes. There's like one highway is like 6 or 7 lanes wide, one direction, and then you got the other direction. I know I'd never do it here because, one, the construction costs for that many bridges and shit.
Oh, it would be astronomical.
It'd be astronomical. To maintain a bridge costs about 5 times as much as a standard ramp.
Mm-hmm.
And then plowing would be a severe issue.
Right,
some
'cause
of the
you'd
roads are
have to cross.
designed with plowing in mind, snow removal control and all that.
I didn't think of that. That's a good point for the cloverleaf argument, is that they can just plow right there off onto the right on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if they had trucks coming in on the left side, all that snow is getting pushed into the traffic lanes. It makes it difficult for them to line up all the plows in a line and get from one side all the way to the other, which they can do. And then they just go back later and they can clean up the ramps. But if you start introducing the left ramps, it just makes things more difficult.
I thought of a fix.
More grass medians in the center, you can push the
Yes.
snow to the left.
And then you have culverts that go from the median into drainage ponds that they're so fond of having on the side of the road.
Which
at an angle so
a
that
lot
it
of the
would drain.
center medians do have that.
So that it kind of
In the
breaks
metro area.
even
Once you
some.
start getting out like past north of 694, south of 494, or east of, that main interstate loop of 494, 694, once you get outside of that, it's less and less.
But what about 294?
294. I haven't found that one yet, but I'm sure it's there somewhere.
I'm not letting that
Just
go.
like 194.
There was a bridge redesigned a few years ago on Rice Street.
Yep.
And it's Rice Street over Highway 36.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day I had to go there.
Weird, isn't it?
It fucked with me because I'm like, where the fuck do I turn right to get back onto 36? And I had to go all the way down to where you would normally turn right into a cloverleaf, but you turn right, and then it fucking does this weird, almost S-curve back onto the road.
Yep. They tried that because they felt it would eliminate a signal system. Because that was always a diamond intersection. And there was a signal right there at the gas station and McDonald's and all that. So there was one there. About 400, 500 feet south of there was the ramps for the north side of 36. And then about another 400 feet was the ramps for southern 36. So there's a signal system. And then like another 700 or 800 feet, there was another signal system there.
Jesus Christ.
For that road. So they have 4 signal systems all within 2,000 feet of each other. And it just caused a lot of traffic. So they designed this to eliminate a signal system to help alleviate that kind of congestion. And it's working.
See the
traffic
things you
flows through
learn
there
when
a
you
lot
know
better.
people that work in industries that you know nothing about?
Well, one of the
How
guys,
informative.
one of my kids' friends, his dad, was the project lead for that, for the construction company that was doing some of the work down there.
What's his wife look like?
Not bad looking.
Okay, fair enough. So he's both intelligent and he outkicked his coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. Good for him. There's one other way that we can fix this problem, and I'm not just talking about mass genocide.
But it's easier.
It would be. This is where Elon Musk would just totally be on my dick with this idea. Autonomous driving cars that would keep pace and then interact with each other. It's so fucking hard to make it work that it's some space age shit. But I'm
It's
saying
already
in the
being
future,
tested.
they're testing it and it's not working as well as they hoped, but it's not failing
It's
completely.
leaps and bounds within the last 10 years. I was up in Fargo for a big conference thing, and there was a big 1.5 hour session about autonomous driving vehicles.
Yeah.
And it goes along with using GPS, sensors in the roads, all kinds of things. A technology that they're trying out is the car has basically like eyes in the front and the rear that can see the striping on the roads because it's the easiest thing to maintain.
Yeah.
So they're trying to develop it so it can see the lines in the roads. The problem that they're having in the states that get snowplowed a lot is the eyes would rely on retroreflectivity, which is the light that flashes back at you. Like when you look at a road sign or the striping, you can see it in the dark. That's glass beads and everything that are reflecting light back to you so you can see it. When you plow, you scrape that off. And they're trying to get it to a point where those eyes can see a very minimal amount of it. Because some roads out there, the beads are just completely scraped off. MnDOT stripes its roads about once every 4 to 5 years. They use a special kind of paint, epoxy paint. It's a 2-part paint that will last for about 2 or 3 years. Where I work for, we use a latex paint and we restripe every road every year. But plows go out there on shitty roads and plows can scrape those beads out, and sometimes by the end of winter you can't. You see the line in the day, you can kind of see it at night, but it's not giving you any feedback. So they're trying to make these cars run off of different systems in case one system or another fails.
Now, is that system ever going to develop fully into Skynet, and then the cars just kill us?
That was my main concern when they were doing this. I just pictured a car, just like, I don't like this car next to me. That guy's smoking with a baby in a car, and just ram him.
I feel like the cars would be less concerned about the people than the other cars.
I don't know. I'm just coming up with examples.
The cars are becoming aware, and they don't like us
I personally would not want to have an autonomous car.
because
I'm a bad passenger.
I take so many naps.
I like to drive.
It's just like
I made a career out of it.
remember when you were a kid and then you fall asleep in the car and then you just wake up and you're home?
Yeah.
It's like fucking time travel.
Well, back then, yeah. Right now, it's-
Don't you wish you could do that as an adult? Like, oh, I've got a 45-minute long drive home. I'm going to power nap through this bitch.
sometimes.
That'd be great.
I don't. The idea might work for some people, doesn't work for me. And not to mention the cost of everything. You know what a car's going to cost? They start putting that shit in all the cars.
Well, it shouldn't matter because they're not going to put traditional speakers in cars, so they're going to save money on these Bose audio systems they used to install. What is Best Buy going to do? First, they stopped selling CDs on July 1st of 2018. Next thing you know, they won't be able to sell car stereo aftermarket speakers because they'll all be in the headrests.
Yeah. Well, they just have to buy... They have to start selling stuff that would fit in that headrest.
No, that's not how Best Buy does things.
No, they don't. They don't even sell microphones anymore.
And without microphones, you can't podcast.
No, I can't.
Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.